Hey, it's Katie Moran. Welcome to Heartfelt Lift. And here it is. Today I'm here with.
Holden, and I'm a keynote speaker. I want to share my story about resilience.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to hear it. Like, how did you get started? Can you share a bit about your backstory and how it helps bring hope to others?
Yeah, I would love to. So it was the summer of 2008. I had just turned 18 and I was riding double with this very sexy cowboy. Um, he had a beautiful horse, and there was just one problem. He had a girlfriend. So instead of wrapping my arms around him, I just let them dangle at my side and I tried to grip onto the horse with my knees. I wish I would have held on.
Mhm.
The horse spooked, jumped forward two times, and I landed on my shoulders and my hips landed on my chest. S- So it was like I had a second hip joint in the middle of my back. I was rushed to the emergency room, and after all the scans and x-rays, and I don't know about now, but in 2008 they had a really scientific way of checking if you're paralyzed by sticking a needle on your butthole.
Wow.
I was not paralyzed, luckily, but I had a compression fracture in thoracic 12, and there was a shard of bone that was really close to my spinal cord. So they were like, do not move. They put me in this big, huge blue brace.
Mhm.
And the MRI showed that all of my ligaments and tendons had been torn from my spine because of the way that my spine bent. So my spine was just free floating. And I spent 6 months in the hospital while they argued about, we want a second opinion. Should we do surgery? They ended up doing surgery and stabilizing my spine with two 5-inch rods and four screws. And when I was released from the hospital, the doctor said, you're probably never going to walk again. I had a lot of nerve damage, and they didn't they didn't have a lot of hope. And I fell into a really deep depression because I was a dance major at the time. I was like straight A student, really into what I was studying, and I just had to completely halt my life. And they sent me to a physical therapy rehabilitation center. And it was actually much of the same as my experience in the hospital. I had my morphine drip. I was on a catheter. They would like roll me over and give me sponge baths. And one of the nurses, I'm so grateful for this woman. She gave me a motivational book. And in the book, I read about Roger Bannister. So scientists had proven for sure that it was impossible to run less than a 4-minute mile. And then along comes Roger Bannister and he runs it in 3.58, right? And all of a sudden, humanity now can run less than a 4-minute mile. Other people are doing it, right? And also the story of Henry Ford was in this book, how he wanted to have an engine that was casted, an 8-cylinder engine casted in one piece. And so he hired the top notch scientists to have this done. And they came back to him and said, it can't be done. And his response was, do it anyway. There isn't anything a man hasn't thought he can't do that he then realized he could do. Not his exact words, obviously.
Mhm.
But after reading that, I was like, I'm going to learn to walk. And so when I went to my hour of physical therapy, I pushed myself up off my wheelchair and I was like, today I'm going to practice walking. And my physical
Mhm.
therapist was like, no, 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 no. And he pointed to all the restrictions that I had been given from my doctor, like you can't twist, you can't put too much pressure on your spine, the ligaments are reattaching, um, can't lift anything over 5 pounds, on and on. So I dutifully did my normal exercises so my legs wouldn't atrophy and learning how to use a wheelchair more properly. And that night, I called my sister-in-law. My mother was not an option because she lives on a road that most cars cannot traverse. So I called my sister-in-law and I was like, Meredith, get me out of here. They refused to teach me how to walk. And the next day they came through. My brother and my sister-in-law had a shiny new walker in the trunk and my release papers, and I felt like I was getting out of jail. And all I can say is I am so glad that my brother has plush carpet. But what I learned from this is that humans are way more capable than we think we are. It's was a really slow process. And first I was just walking to the bathroom. I mean, I still couldn't wipe my own butt because I couldn't Swiss, so I had to be like, Meredith.
Mhm.
But then it was, walking to the kitchen with my big walker. I had this huge walker that had pads on top, and so it took all of your pressure off of your spine. And then I went down to like the normal granny walker, and
Mhm.
then I picked out this cane from Walgreens that was like red marble, like old grandpa cane. And after a few months, I was starting to walk around the block. And then after a year, I was walking smoothly again. And after 2 years, I went back to my dance program and I got the strength to pirouette again and do all of the things. And the crazy thing is, if you've heard of adversarial growth, adversarial growth it was discovered by a psychologist who was studying people coming back from war. And most people came back, they had PTSD, they were doing a lot worse than they were before they left. But there were a few outliers who came back and they became better versions of themselves post trauma. And that's what I realized in myself, that I had done well, like in my connections with other people, in my mindset, in my um the way I took care of myself and the way I went for my dreams. But after that experience and showing myself that I could learn to walk when I thought I wouldn't be able to,
Mhm.
it made me realize I can do anything. And so I set out to do bodybuilding competitions and, um, you know, live in different countries, and a lot of things that I never would have tried if I hadn't been through something so painful. And the message I just want to share with people is, why not you? Show the world what's possible.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I love that message.
Thank you.